Hello, my beautiful babies, and welcome to my Twitch channel. We are getting ready to talk about my thoughts on Watchmen Season 1. But first, I want to announce that the Drawn to Life 2020 calendar is here. It is now shipping. It totally has a hole in it this year. Last year, it got messed up and we didn't have a hole. This year, we've got a fucking hole. Okay? All right, we didn't mess it up this year. It printed great. It looks fabulous. There are some not safe for work images as well as safe for work images. January safe, you know. We got February safe. It's got these nice sketches. You can't really see, but there's sketches down there on the other part. It also has all the astrological information for the year, planets going retrograde, full moons, when the sun moves into Capricorn or whatever the fuck. We got it all in here, all the holidays, all that sort of stuff. It is shipping now. It is $30 for an unsigned calendar, $50 for a signed calendar. If you're a Team 19 member on Patreon, though, there is a $5 off coupon. So be on the lookout for that if you guys are part of the Team 19. And you can get it at danikaxix.bigcartel.com. danikaxix.bigcartel.com. Check it out. You need a fucking calendar. So without further ado... Yeah, Beans was helping me, by the way. We've been like shipping and stuff all week. So Beans has been helping. She's so sweet. We've been signing. It's been so much fun. So yeah. Well, now's that time to talk about The Watchmen. So before the show came out, Alan Moore was obviously upset about it. He didn't want it to happen. He was very displeased. And I was kind of like, I don't really know if we need a Watchmen show. But I do know that Lindelof really loves The Watchmen and like really actually cares about it, you know? So I was like, well, maybe this could be okay, but it probably is going to suck. I don't know. Then I saw a preview for it. I didn't recognize anything in the preview. And I was kind of like, is Jeremy Irons Ozymandias? I guess that's the only thing I kind of recognize, And I was just like not into it. Like, I was just like, this looks like shit. I'm not interested. Whatever. And then the show came out, and I had a couple of friends who were watching it. And they were telling me about it. And everyone on Twitch and Instagram was also, or everyone on Twitter on Instagram was telling me about it too. And they were like, wow, like, this is really great. You should watch this. I mean, one of my friends was like, it's literally insane that you're not watching this, And I was like, and then they showed me a clip, like they showed me like the scene from that one episode. By the way, this is spoilers on for this. They showed me the scene from the Looking Glass episode where he's in New Jersey, and then the squid attack happens, And I was like, oh fuck, sold. I watched the squid attack scene, and I was just like, well, I guess I gotta watch The Watchmen. I guess I gotta watch The Watchmen. So I started watching it. I caught up on Thanksgiving. Actually, on Thanksgiving, I caught up. I watched I watched 2 episodes before Thanksgiving, and then 4 episodes on Thanksgiving or something like that. 3 or 4 episodes, and I really, really enjoy the show. I was really shocked with how fucking good it is. I really like a lot of the new characters. I really like the direction that they took it. It's set now. So Watchmen is set in 2019, so it's in the same universe, but, time has passed since the incident in 1985. And so now we're getting to catch up with all of these characters. And the thing about the show, which is very Lindelof, is you kind of I didn't know where it was going. I was really enjoying being back in this world and seeing these characters again and meeting these new characters. I thought that was really fascinating. I really enjoyed my time with all of that. But I was still where is this going? What is this about? Where are we going with this show? And the last episode, everything kind of finally tied up together, because even at the end of the penultimate episode, even in that episode, I was like, this is so great, but there's only 1 episode left, what the fuck, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And so, watching the final episode, last Sunday, I was kind of taken aback because honestly, the final episode just became very plotty. You know, it was just like all about like plot. It was like plot, 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 plot. And like none of the character moments really stood out for me. Like none of like the character things like really resonated and hit like the emotional moments for me. It was so plot heavy because they had meandered so much during the rest of the episodes that like it was so plot heavy that none of the emotional impacts really hit. You know, it didn't hit the way that it could have hit. So it's like I felt like the show, most of it was fantastic. The very last episode, I was kind of like, I don't know. You know, like it was like it had kind of a rough ending, but that's Lindelof. You know, I mean, if you're going on a journey with Lindelof, that you have to know that it's about the journey and not the destination, because Lindelof has a track record of, you know, creating these really sexy mysteries and you're like, ooh, what is this? Oh, what is that? Like, what the fuck? Oh, what's going on here? Like, yes. And then you get to the end and then it's just nothing, you know, and it just kind of like, you know, like Lost, you know, it's just kind of like, you don't really get anything. So yeah, Charlie Drama, it definitely ran out of steam a little bit at the end there. But I still really enjoyed it. And I just really, I mean, rather than the plot, I'm more of somebody who enjoys characters rather than plot. You know, like I'm not here for like, oh, you know, I like watching interactions between humans. And so all of that stuff was just like really, really, really great. Really, really lovely. I really loved seeing Lori, her character coming back, like being the FBI agent who hunts vigilantes, and she's just like fucking crazy, you know? Like I really I love the actress. I love the way she played Lori. I love her fucking attitude. She's such her father's daughter, you know? Like she's the comedian's daughter 100%. Like she's over there like shooting first and asking questions later, you know? Like she's trying to kill motherfuckers. Like she don't give a shit, you know? It's just like she's so like her dad. And I really loved her character, but I did feel like at the end of the last episode, she didn't really have anything to do. You know, I mean, she kind of did some stuff, but it was just kind of like, meh, you know, like, and her seeing Dr. Manhattan, I was like, oh, they're in the same room finally, but they really didn't have any meaningful interactions, which I was really bummed on. I was like, what the fuck, you know? And like, she was making comments to Sister Night all throughout the show because Sister Night was actually married to Dr. Manhattan, who was parading around as a human. He was like wearing another human's kind of skin to blend in so that he wouldn't be noticed. And yeah, I just thought that like they really didn't have like a super great, I don't know, I wanted to see like more out of those two, you know, between those two, because they have such a history together. You know, I thought that would have been cool. I really loved, one thing it was really interesting though, is like, I think, and I was talking about this on Instagram, where the fuck is Night Owl? You know, people were telling me, and I guess I must have just missed it, but there's some line or something about how Dan was like, Night Owl 2 is in jail or something like that. Yeah, Sand Reckoner, yeah, he was in jail or whatever, and it was just kind of like, so we're not going to have Night Owl in this at all? Like, why? Why are we not going to, where's Night Owl? Why is Dan not in this? I mean, yeah, cool, he's in federal prison, but like, especially like in the last episode where you had kind of the team all getting back together, but there's no Night Owl, you know? I was just kind of like, oh, you know? Like, I mean, maybe it would have been too much. Maybe season 2, but I don't know if we're going to get a season 2. But I was like a little bummed that we didn't get any Night Owl. You know, we got his ship, we got to see Archimedes, and like that was fucking cool. But like, I was like a little bummed on that one. I was excited. Sister Night, let's talk about some of the newer characters. Sister Night is fantastic. She's such a badass. I love her so much. She's so strong and cool and awesome. Is just like taking so much shit and just like deals so much punishment, you know, and she's just such a fucking badass. Huge fan of her. Big ups to Sister Night. Big ups to Looking Glass, also known as Mirror Guy. I want to watch a show with just those two. Like, honestly, like I would watch a show with Sister Night and Looking Glass going around, busting crimes, doing shit together. Like, those two make such a cool fucking team. Like, I really fucking love both of them, especially together. Not romantically, but just like as a fucking cool, like, super team. Like, she's the muscle, you know, and he gets the confession. It's just like, so good. It's so fucking good. And I just love Looking Glass's character so much. He's like an analog for Rorschach, because Rorschach obviously dies in the end of the Watchmen graphic novel. And so now we have some people called the Seventh Cavalry, which wear these Rorschach masks, and they're kind of like alt-right dudes, you know, they're like on that whole fucking spectrum. And so, but Looking Glass, like, he's kind of like, he's a shorter guy. He's not a cute guy. He doesn't have fucking friends. He's fucked up from that fucking, he was there when the squid attack happened, and it's like fucked him up for his entire, he's been traumatized by that shit, you know, like his whole fucking life. And, and like, but he has like just like a silver, you know, like a fucking reflective like silver mask on, and like it's like, I love that like they show him when the squid attack happens and he's younger and he's a missionary in New Jersey. He's come from Tulsa, but he's going to New Jersey to talk to the sinners and tell them that the end is nigh. And he's in a fun house, in a house of mirrors, when the squid attack happens. And he survives the squid attack. And there's a few other people that survive, but most of the people in his area are taken out. And I thought, oh, well, it would make sense, like, maybe the mirrors protected him somehow. Like, maybe being in that mirrored environment, somehow it bounced the psychic shit so that he wasn't hit as hard. And so that's why maybe he survived. But then, like, that's also why he wears reflective stuff, you know, because mirrors make him feel safe, maybe? It's a stretch. It's a stretch, I know. But I love that. I love his whole character. I thought he was so badass, the way he fucking walked around, the way he talked to people, the way he fucking like took people apart and shit. It was just like that whole episode that was just about him was one of my favorite episodes. And it's really great to see a badass like Midwestern man, you know, like he's just fucking down as fuck. I really liked him. But I was sad when we got to like the ending and he shows up, and like for a minute he's like undercover, and he's wearing one of the Rorschach like cavalry masks, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, like he's Rorschaching out, like we're gonna get, like he's gonna take over the place of Rorschach, and we're gonna get the band back together, because you had Laurie there, then he was there, then Dr. Manhattan was fucking trapped in that little cage, you know. I was like, oh, we're getting everybody, oh, you know. And I was so excited to see him like go ape shit and do some like crazy Rorschach stuff, but he didn't really do much, you know. Like he did get the confession, the Ozymandias confession. He had that, which is very Rorschach. You know, Rorschach had the journal, and he sent the journal off, and so this guy is like an analog. He has the truth, you know, and he's fucking, yes, the truth. We have to say the truth no matter what it is. And he's gonna also make sure that Ozymandias is accountable for what he did, you know. And at the end, like he helps Laurie take Ozymandias in for his crimes, and he hits him. It's like a cartoon though. He like hits him with a fucking wrench. It's like, what? Like what happened? But like that was another thing, is like the whole Ozymandias thing at the end, where they're like, oh, we're gonna take him in, and you killed 3 million people, and like you've got to answer for your crimes, Adrian. And it was just like, the man just escaped a fucking prison, first of all. So like time served, honestly. Like he was on that moon, when he was on that moon of moon of Jupiter, when he was on Europa. Like that was absolutely a prison. Like it's not like he hasn't been imprisoned at all and had to suffer at all, you know. And the thing is like, I mean, yeah, he fucking killed 3 million people, but also like he truly believed that he was saving humanity, and by all accounts and purposes, from what everyone has said and what everyone agrees on, is he did save the world, you know. And then and they're like, oh no, you gotta go to jail. I was just like, I don't know about this. Like I don't want to see Ozymandias go to jail. Like honestly, like, I don't want to see that, you know. Like I think that's kind of dumb, because it's just like he's above the law. Like the law, schmlah. Who cares? He fucking saved the world once. He saved it again, and he didn't do it for egotistical reasons. You know, I mean, he is egotistical, but like he kept it to himself. Like he wasn't trying to fucking be like, oh hey guys, everybody suck my dick. Like I don't know. Like Veidt saved us all. Like I don't know. I just wasn't like excited about like Veidt getting fucking arrested and dragged back so that he could be prosecuted for his crime of of the squid attack and everything else. I don't know. I felt like that was a little, I know. And you thought that was bullshit too, Kendana. And it's like, they can't hold him. Satanic Waldo, Ozymandias did nothing wrong. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just wasn't like for that. And I felt like that was put in there because I know there's just like a sense of like mob justice going on right now where everybody's got to be accountable, like, everybody's like really pissed and everybody wants to punish everybody. And I just felt like it was kind of in there because of that feeling that we have going on right now. But I didn't really think that it worked like for me personally. But Adrian was fantastic. Jeremy Irons as Ozymandias. I 100% bought that he was Ozymandias. Like, I was like, yes, this is Ozymandias. Like, the way he acts, the way he fucking does his thing. Like, I loved his shit. It was super fun. Watching him try to like figure out like, what the fuck, where is he? What's going on? And then him trying to escape a moon, it's just like totally bonkers. Super fun. Really enjoyed it. Jeremy Irons' performance was fantastic. I'm really glad that they put him in his old uniform and we got to see the full Ozymandias fucking uniform. That was so great. He was Astaroth. He was fucking hilarious. He just did such a great job. Like, Irons, yes, John George. Irons has the perfect look for Vite. Perfect look. Like, I absolutely, like, yes. He was so good. And then, let's see here. Who else? I mean, Manhattan, of course. They really tease Manhattan throughout the season. At first, you don't know if you're going to see him at all. It's like they talk about him being on Mars. And then they have those like little phones, the little Manhattan phones where you can place a little call and then it'll go to Mars. So Manhattan can probably hear you. And then throughout the season, we find out that he's not on Mars and that he is, in fact, on Earth, masquerading as a human, and I just thought that was really well done. I really enjoyed it. At the end of the Watchmen graphic novel, he's like, I'm going to go off and create life, see you later, Adrian. And then in the show, you see that he does, like, I love that they continued that from the comic book directly, where he's like, okay, I'm going to go to this moon and I'm going to make some life and I'm going to create these people and I'm going to create this environment and I'm going to have this whole, like, I'm going to be a god of this planet. And then he fucking gets bored and bounces. It's so good. He just fucking bounces. He's just like, these guys are fucking boring. Even though he's created life, they're still like, they're not, like, they're not quite right. The little people that he made, like, and then the way that he makes the people, it's like they're in a little lake. And then you take these weird little babies, you fish these weird little babies out of a lake, and then you throw them in a fucking machine, a microwave, and boom, and then boom, and then they are automatically turned into full-grown adults, and then they're kind of stupid because they're just like, they have no experiences, like they have no experience. They're adults, like they're physically adults, but they don't have any experiences. But I really love that. And I love that, Ray the Force, you say, I kind of appreciate how Dr. Manhattan is low-key, hopeless romantic. My dude just wants love. I know. And so he returns to Earth, after his failed experiment. And he returns to Earth because he falls in love. He falls in love. And Dr. Manhattan 100% has a type. 100% has a type. He really loves those highly self-possessed, badass chicks. Like, he is here for smart, strong women. And I mean, you'd have to be like, I mean, who the fuck is Dr. Manhattan gonna date? Seriously. I mean, you'd have to be with like a really hardcore bitch, It's like you got to be a real hardcore fucking person to be able to like be married and be in a relationship with like Dr. Manhattan, And it's like his first girlfriend, Janie, before he turned into Dr. Manhattan, she wasn't like a badass superhero lady. She wasn't like a beat 'em up, but she was very self-possessed. And she was the one who made all the moves in their relationship and was like, and she was also very smart. She was like working at Gila Flats with him and everyone, all the other scientists. And so she was like super smart, was hanging in a man's world just fine, doing her own thing, making her moves, getting with John. And then he dates Silk Spectre too, later, Lori. And then they have their thing, and she's super badass and tough. I mean, her parents are like crazy superhero people. And then he falls in love with Sister Night, and she is also, or even more so, a badass. She is so cool. I love her so much, and I can see why he would fall for her, because she's so fucking amazing. Like, she's such a badass. And the thing that I really, one of the things that I liked about the show that I wish they did more with in the end was the theme of generational trauma and how genetically our traumas are passed on to our children. And so our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, their traumas are also passed on to us. It stays in your genetics. And then you find in your life these patterns that you're reenacting that aren't your patterns at all. They're things that happened to your parents and your grandparents and your great-grandparents, okay? Like, that's such a fascinating idea. In fact, I have a whole book on it by Jodorowsky, Metagenealogy. I have a book up there called Metagenealogy, and it's all about this, okay? This is a real thing, okay? And so in this show, Sister Night finds out that her grandfather was Hooded Justice from the Minutemen. He was like a part of the original crew, the original superhero crew, and he's one of the first heroes. He's one of the first caped hero guys. And so, and it's interesting how the thing I loved so much was that, like, when she takes his nostalgia pills, which are like his memory pills, which makes her remember all of his memories, when she takes those pills and she like lives through his experiences, and she sees how when he wore the Hooded Justice mask, which is just like a bag over his head with like 2 eye holes cut out, when he wore that, he would put like white people makeup around his eyes so that nobody would know that he's a black guy. Because if everyone knew that he was a black guy going around beating up people, then like everyone would be scared of him and he would be like driven out of town and like destroyed. But if people thought he was a white guy beating up criminals and stuff, it's fine. It's fine. And so that's why he did that. And he would paint his eyes white. And she, unknowingly is like painting her eyes black. She had no idea that like her grandfather was a crime fighter and a policeman. She's also a policeman and a crime fighter. His parents were killed in a really fucked up, the Tulsa like race riot, murder, fucking shitty thing. He dealt with all this trauma, and that's why he became that. Same thing happens to her. Her parents are killed in a tragic accident as well. She's also orphaned. So it's like they're both orphaned. They both become police officers. They both become superheroes. He paints his eyes white. She paints her eyes black. It's fucking brilliant, dude. It's fucking so good. It's fucking so good. But then in the very end, in the last episode, you have this moment where Sister Night talks to her grandfather after everything's kind of over and like settled down and stuff. And he does this whole recap. He's like, "Did you take my pills?" And she's like, "Yeah, I took your pills." He's like, "Well, then you know the whole story then. ... Okay, let me recap the whole story now." And it's like, what the fuck? You just said, "Then you know the whole story." And then he proceeds to recap his whole story, which it's like, as an audience member, I've been here. I don't need you to recap right now, dude. What are you fucking doing right? Like, this is the final episode. We don't have time for this. And now we're recapping shit. It was like the first time the show had treated me like I was dumb. Like, it was the first time the show did that. Because all throughout the rest of the show, it wasn't like that. But, and then she's like, "Well, you can stay a little bit, stay for a few days." Like, they kind of reconnect or whatever. But I mean, it just wasn't. And like what he had to say, I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't super strong. It didn't end on like a real emotional note that it should have. And then also too, I found it weird because he at the very end is talking about like, yeah, well, John could have done more. He could have done more. Like he was bitter that this God man had not done more for humanity, And I thought that that was a really backwards message. You know, it's just like, we shouldn't look to heroes and to gods to save us. You know, it's up to us to save ourselves, and we need to learn how to act. It's not, we need to give our power away to a higher being so that they can tell us how to act and what to do and how to be. We need to figure that out for ourselves. You know, like, we don't need a parent. Like, we need to figure it out for ourselves. And it's a bad idea to give your power away to other people and, like, have gods just fix all your problems for you. Because then you're just going to fuck a shit. You're not going to even appreciate it. You know, I mean, if somebody just came in and just cleaned everything up, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, now I can be an extra piece of shit because some god will just come up and clean up behind me. You know? Like, I don't know. I felt like that was a little weird. And so this whole season, again, it's like, I was like, what the fuck is this season about? But then you find out that the season is about the death of Dr. Manhattan, ultimately, who's like, how do you kill a god? You know? And then also kind of in the generational trauma thing a little bit, I guess. You have Lady Trieu, who we haven't talked about yet. Lady Trieu is Ozymandias' daughter. Her mother shot herself up with some of his semen from like a vial, you know, and then stole into the night, like stole his seed, ran into the night, had a super smart daughter. And then the daughter is like super smart. And then at the very end, she's kind of like a cipher, you know, she's kind of like that, like, oh, I'm the perfect little China doll Asian girl, you know, evil, semi-evil, but, you know, kind of like really on the surface. And then by the end, you find out that she's, you know, the villain of the show, you know, and just like Ozymandias, her father was like the villain of Watchmen. She's become the villain of the Watchmen show. And she is trying to get Dr. Manhattan's powers. Her big plan is that she's going to get Dr. Manhattan. She's going to melt him down into some goo, whatever. And then she's going to put that on herself. And then she's going to have Dr. Manhattan's powers so that she can fix the world. She's going to get rid of all the nukes. She's going to clean the air. She's going to do all the stuff that Dr. Manhattan didn't do, you know, according to her. And she almost gets away with it, but her dad defeats her, you know. Dr. Manhattan zaps them away to his laboratory, and he figures out a way to fuck her up with some like frozen squids. Like he like rains frozen squids down on her and like fucking takes her shit out, which I thought was really funny because I mean she like talks shit about his frozen squids or his squids, you know, and then he uses those very squids that she insulted to like, you know, take her out. But he's like, she's not gonna fucking do all this stuff. Like she says she's gonna do all this stuff, but she's gonna be a fucking tyrant. You know, this lady does not need this fucking power. Like anyone who's looking for the power of God needs to be denied that power, which I agree with. So, you know, so Lady Trieu, I mean, she was an interesting character. She wasn't very strong though. You know, like one thing about Lady Trieu that I don't get, it's like, oh, you cloned your mother. Well, where did that go? You know, it's like, for what purpose? Like, why? Like just to clone your mom because you can and then have her around again? For what? So she could have another Lady Trieu? What was the point? You know, at the end, like she finally tells her BN, she's like, oh, I have to tell you something. Ozymandias might say something. And BN's like, I am your daughter, or I'm your mother. You know, she had already figured it out. And it really went nowhere. You know, it was just kind of like, okay, you know, but again, that's Lindelof. You know, I should have known. You know, I should have known. But yeah, so in the end, Dr. Manhattan gets smelt down. Lady Trieu does not get the power. We think the power is dissipated. We don't know what happened. Sister Night goes home. She's sad. Her husband's gone. Hanging out with her grandpa now. She's cleaning up some shit in the kitchen, and she sees these eggs that she broke. And she notices that there's one egg that isn't broken in there. And she remembers when she first met him, Dr. Manhattan, they spoke about how he could theoretically put his powers into an organic thing, like an egg, and theoretically, someone could eat that and then have his powers, you know. So she grabs the egg, takes it, goes out to the pool area, eats the egg, then puts her foot, you know, down on the pool like she's going to walk on water, you know, but then it cuts. You know, it cuts right before, like, you see whether she can, like, walk on water and whether she got the powers of Dr. Manhattan or not. And again, it's like, does Angela want these powers? powers? Like, does Angela want this? Do I want this for Angela? It just seems like Dr. Manhattan's powers are just such a fucking problem. It just seems like a fucking problem. You know, like everybody wants you to do shit. Everyone's up your ass, you know, like everybody wants your power. People are trying to kill you. People are trying to it just seems like a nightmare. And also just living with that power, living like without time and being in all these different places at once. And like, it just doesn't sound like a fun fucking time, you know, like it doesn't sound great. And it's also interesting because it's like, oh, you know, it's like, he's like, oh, I die. But it's like, well, I kind of feel like he wanted to die. Like, I feel like he let himself get killed because he knew this was the only way he could die. And he was like, I want out. If I don't let Lady Trieu do this, then, like, it's going to be another 500,000 years or something, you know? Like, he's just like, I can't. I want out, you know? Like, this is stupid. Being a god is stupid. Like, I want out, which I love. But then for her to be like, oh, I'm going to take the powers. And it's just like, does she want them? Do I want her to have them? Should anybody have them? Isn't it a better idea to just kind of let it go? Isn't it a better idea to just kind of let it go? Like, I don't know. Isn't it a better idea to just kind of let it go? I don't know. You know? I don't know. But yeah. So do you guys have any questions for me about the Watchmen? I'm trying to think of what other thoughts I have here. Really loved, what else? I don't know, I know there's other things, but my brain's a little fried. Hey, how are you? That's not the question I'm looking for, Danny. How are you is not the question I'm looking for. Okay, we're talking about Manhattan. Thank you for asking. I'm fine. I'm talking about the Watchmen. You know, John George, I hope we get to see a season 2. I'd be okay if we didn't get a season 2, honestly. Like, I'd be okay with it. Like, but I would watch it if we did get another one. Grimes, why was Lori acting surprised that Ozzy killed 3 million people? She was there at the end of the comics. Yeah, that was the thing that was weird to me, because like, she's implicit in all of this. So by her turning in Ozymandias and saying like, oh, he killed 3 million people, well, it's like, well, bitch, you knew this whole time and you didn't tell anybody, so you're a fucking accomplice. Like, Lori is a fucking accomplice. Not only is Lori an accomplice in keeping the secret that he killed 3 million people, also her and Looking Glass, both of them are accomplices in him raining down all that terror with those ice squids. You know, I mean, are they going to say that? I mean, like, oh yeah, we worked with him and helped him to do that and killed a bunch of people? Because there's more people that he killed, you know? It just didn't hit me right, you know? It didn't hit me right, man, you know? Thoughts on Lube Man? I know, like, okay, so I guess Lube Man was Lori's assistant, but I guess he got fired. There's, again, some throwaway line or something that I missed where he got fired or got something, but Lube Man was her assistant or something, which again, it's like, I loved Lube Man, but like, it went nowhere. It's like, I got Lindelof, man. I was like, where's Lube Man? I need more Lube Man. Like, what the fuck? Let's see here. Why was Dr. Manhattan black? Well, in the show, it made sense because they needed paperwork for him to make him look like he was a human being, like just like, you know, birth certificates, like things like social security cards, things like that. And so Sister Night takes Dr. Manhattan to a morgue and shows him some dead people. And it's like, you need to pick one of these guys to be, and because we need papers so that we can fake that like you're a person, you know, even though he could probably just make those, but whatever. Like, we need to do that. And so she picks out this body and it's a black guy. And so she's like, well, I could hang out with you if you look like this, you know, and he's like, okay. And so he takes on that form. And I thought that like it was I really loved the choice just to keep the actor who was playing the husband and just keep him playing Dr. Manhattan. I'm glad that they didn't switch actors. I think that would have been super lame. I really liked that actor. I thought he did a really fantastic job in the role. I have zero problems with Black Hatton. Zero fucking problems with it. I thought it was really well done, and I'm glad that that actor got to do it. You know, I'm glad that they didn't change actors and then like you have like white John and then Black John. It's just like, whatever, it's fine. And they kind of, they say a little throwaway line about like, well, I'm just going to look like this now. You just have to deal with it. So, and I was okay with it. I didn't have any problems with that. Megaloblazemon, I thought she was going to chuck the egg away. Like, she's immortal. Her kids and loved ones aren't now. So everyone just kind of becomes meaningless to her since she's immortal. I know, right? Like, why would you, like, I don't, is this connected to the movie or the comic? This show is connected to the comic, not the movie. So the comic is canon in this show, which I appreciate. Because the movie, no. Because in the movie, they made it Dr. Manhattan was the threat and not a giant psychic squid monster. And I'm so glad we did the giant psychic squid monster because that's so much fucking cooler. That other ending is just called comic book shame. Comic book shame. Like, oh my god, we can't have a silly squid monster. That's silly. We can't have a psychic interdimensional squid monster. We gotta do something else. It's just like, no, you don't, bro. Fuck you. Let's see here. Lindelof said he's out after season 1. So yeah, I doubt we're gonna get a season 2. I doubt. If she has Manhattan's powers, couldn't she just recreate him? I don't know. I don't think it works that way. He wouldn't have like the same, like a soul, it's intangible. I think Dr. Manhattan put his super seed in that egg in Angela's prego maybe, but no, they had that conversation where he said he wouldn't do that to somebody. Like, he wouldn't have a child with somebody because he wouldn't want to pass that on to like a kid without like them like agreeing to it, like he thought that was fucked up. So it's like, it's not going to be like Angie's pregnant. She's Dr. Manhattan now. Suzo, please listen to the official Watchmen podcast. It will make you appreciate the whole show so much more. Yeah, I mean, I know that I've read a couple of things from the podcast that made some more sense, but at the same time, it's like, if you have to explain it to me on a podcast, then like, you're not doing your job as an artist. Like, I mean, I'm sure it would help me, like, I'm sure it would explain some things and make me appreciate the show a little bit more, but at the same time, Right, Megaloblazemon. Yeah, when Mirror Mask was like, wait, Lori, you knew? I was like, oh, damn, you're going down too. That's what I'm saying. Like, she knew too. So, like, she's an accessory. So her bringing him in is like bringing herself in. I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, regarding Trieu, she said she wanted her mother and father there to see her success. Okay, you're right. You're right about that. And then she didn't get either of those. That totally makes sense. Thank you for that. I want to see more of Loop Man. We all do. Okay. Loop Man was hilarious. Let me see here. What other questions you got? The Dr. Manhattan dildo. That was kind of funny. That was kind of funny. There was a Dr. Manhattan dildo, and it was kind of funny. She definitely picked a well-endowed body. She sure did, man. I will say, man, everyone in the comics is always being like, Dr. Manhattan has a big blue dick. Everyone's like knocking themselves out over Dr. Manhattan's giant penis in the fucking comic. It is not giant. He just has a penis. Like, it's just a penis. It's never rock hard. It's never huge. It's just kind of like proportionate. It's just like a little proportionate boop. And then the little balls, boop. It's just like, everyone's freaking out, I think it's just because he just has a penis out that everyone's just like, oh my God. But in this show, he did have a giant dick. I was like, they showed his dick, and I was like, I hope that actor isn't married. I feel bad for his wife if he's married because he's going to get a lot of fucking calls, man. That guy's going to get a lot of fucking calls. But yeah. I liked how Lori was unimpressed by new masked vigilante. She was like, I've seen real badasses in my day. I did too, Sans Logan. I really like her, like, I don't give a fuck attitude. Like, I'm not impressed by any of this. You guys are jack-offs. I've been doing this for years. My parents were doing this. Like, you do not impress me. I think this is dumb. You're a fucking loser. Like, I love that shit. Like, I think it was so good. I feel like I'm going to be a lot like Lori when I get older. She should have put the egg in a beer after the night she had, Knife Clan. I fucking agreed. I thought she was going to put the egg in a beer too. Because when they first met, when Angela and John first met, she cracked an egg in his beer and then he just drank it, you know? And then when she got that egg, I was like, oh, she's going to put the egg in a beer and fucking down it. And then they didn't do that. And I thought that was a real missed opportunity. I was like, I was a little bummed. Yeah, I don't want Angela to be Dr. Manhattan. I don't know. I don't want that. She's badass as it is. She doesn't need that shit. You know, like, she doesn't need that shit. Yeah, the show needed 3 more episodes. Yeah, I feel like it did too. I feel like it did need a couple more episodes because it was just like so much plot at the end that they really didn't have any great character moments, you know. And I was like, let's see here. Any other questions? I love the last episode being from Dr. Manhattan's perspective. It was a really good way to explain how he experiences time, how he experiences everywhere and every time at once. Yeah, totally. I love that idea. I think it's really great. I think they did a pretty good job of like showing that. I was like super into it. Do you think that was the actor's real dick or a prosthetic? I think that was his real dick. Honestly, I think that was his real dick. I mean, you know, it looked pretty real. It looked pretty real. But maybe not. Maybe it was a prosthetic, but I think I feel like it was a real dick. Justice for Lube Man. Okay, I will say, this is just like totally off topic, but that senator guy, Senator Keene or whatever, when he like stripped down and he had the little Dr. Manhattan underwear on. First of all, he looked great without his clothes on. So like props to that actor. He really killed it. His body looked amazing. And then those little underwear, the little Dr. Manhattan underwear he was wearing, I was like so stoked. Like I'm so glad I saw those Dr. Manhattan underwear on somebody. I think those underwear are so cool and so cute. And that guy wearing them looked amazing. It like really worked on his body, although I'm sure they probably had to glue it down onto his hips, like where the parts like come up high, where it like comes up in a high V. They probably had to like tack that down onto his skin because I doubt that would like sit right. But oh my god, he looked great, even though he's a piece of shit, you know. It's just like, yes. Quick question, can you name one WWE wrestler? Well, yes, I watched wrestling on Sunday night, and I know Asuka. I love her. The Kabuki Warriors are fucking badass. So, just saying. Charlotte Flair. I'm into the women's stuff more. I love Charlotte Flair. She makes me so happy. She makes me so fucking happy. It's like, it's insane. So, I know some of them. Thank you very much. All right, I know about wrestling. A little bit. I'm getting back into it a little bit. Won't exposing all of this cause new wars? Asked Satanic Waldo. We'll see. But that's the thing. I guess if Angela gets the Dr. Manhattan powers, then she can just get rid of all the nukes or whatever and do what Lady Trieu was going to do, potentially. Because, yeah, exposing this would probably cause some wars and, like, cause some fuckery to go on. So, although that would be really fascinating to, like, see that as, like, what happens when the truth comes out and, like, do we, you know, like, that could be interesting for season 2, potentially. Yeah. Every guy being jealous of the Dr. Manhattan actor guy. Yeah. Well, I mean, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And I don't know if he's a shower or a grower. You know, maybe his dick just is like that, and then when it gets hard, it's just still kind of like that size. Or maybe it gets way bigger. I don't know. You know, I can't tell. Okay? So, Who knows? But there is such a thing as too much of a good thing, you know? I feel like if he's a real grower, it's going to be like way too much. Like, I feel like it'd be way, at least for me. I mean, I don't know. Asuka is the goat. She fucking is, dude. I love that bitch. Like, oh my God. Asuka is so cool. She's such like an anime, like the Kabuki warriors are like these two Japanese chicks who just like kick so much ass, and they can barely speak English, and I love them so much, and they look like anime characters, and they do anime character fucking like cool poses and fucking moves, and they're like flying around all crazy, and they're truly athletic, and they're just fucking cool, and Asuka's like spitting green fucking venom at people. It's fucking right in their faces. It's just like the best. One thing I learned from the podcast that blew my mind was going back to the episode where Laurie Blake goes to Lady Trieu's home clock and passes by the Ozymandias statue, and she says, "Why'd you make him look so old?" And Lady Trieu says, "In the Philippines, we venerate our elders. That statue was the actual Ozymandias before they thought him out." I totally missed that. Yeah, I know. I caught that one. I was like, because it was weird. It was like, why? This looks terrible. You know, like this. I was actually kind of worried that she killed him. Like, I was actually kind of worried for a minute that she had killed him. Like, when she, like, was going to, like, undo all the gold goo on him, I thought that he was, like, either dead in that. Like, she killed him when she froze him in gold. But then they unfroze him, and I was like, oh, thank God. You know, it was just like, I thought she had killed him. Let's see other questions. Do you think a woman having Dr. Manhattan's powers would change anything? The way he experiences time reminded me of Arrival. I don't know. I just feel like omnipotence and godhood would just like really expose your lost humanity and how humanity is neither feminine or masculine. You know, it's like humanity is like kind of both of those things or none of those things, you know, however you want to play it. So I feel like, I don't know if it would, but maybe it would. I don't know. Maybe she'd be like more down to, I just don't think that like it's a great idea, not for a woman to have it, but like for anyone to have that power. You know, it's like they don't need to help. Like nobody needs to help. Like humans need to help themselves. You know, like we need to like figure it out ourselves. Angela's kids are going to be messed up. Maybe. I mean, I thought it was really interesting, Vindel 3, when the son sees her outfit when she takes him into her lair finally, and she exposes that she is, you know, Sister Night, and he's like, you know, and I was wondering if he was going to like take up the mantle, you know, like if he was next, even though he didn't genetically get her traumas. I wondered if that moment of him realizing that his mom was a superhero was going to like inspire him to follow in her footsteps. Yeah, I think godhood takes away gender. Me too, Ray the Force. I feel like godhood takes away gender, where you're just like, I can see particles. Like penises and vaginas don't matter to me anymore. You know, like, you know, although I do think that if Angela got Dr. Manhattan powers, or a woman got Dr. Manhattan powers, it would be more difficult for them to find a partner than it would be for a man Dr. Manhattan. You know, a female Dr. Manhattan, it's like, it's going to be hard to find someone who can keep up with you as a god. Being a woman and being that powerful, and then trying to find a guy who can like hang with that would probably be difficult. Like even more difficult. So that's the big thing that I see is like, I mean, what guy, and then what guy's going to please her? You know, like what human man is going to please a goddess? You know, like, it's just, I don't know, that might be a problem. Spidey sense. If you were a superhero, what would your theme costume be? Well, I developed a character a long time ago for myself, for a comic I was working on that never happened. But I had a character and her name was Death Wish. Not after the Charlie Bronson film, but you're like, you can't use that. It's a Charlie Bronson film. Like, I'm using Death Wish. I'm using it. Fuck you. And her costume is a lot of like biker gear stuff. Like it's very like armored biker gear type of shit. And her power is momentum based, where she starts off kind of normal, you know, but then she takes a couple of hits, and every time she takes a hit when she's in an engagement, she becomes tougher and tougher and tougher as long as the engagement lasts, you know. And so like, okay, so she wears all this armor because at first she needs it. So if she takes a huge hit, like she's going to need the armor to kind of absorb some of it. But then once she takes that huge hit and takes it in, the next time someone tries to do the same thing, it doesn't work. You know, it has to be something even more powerful because now she's like leveled up, you know? So, and then you could do some like really fun things was like as she's fighting, like she takes off more and more armor because she doesn't need it anymore, you know? And then it's like strips down to like more of like a, you know, whatever, just like some pants and like a fucking thing. It's more utilitarian, like her look. But that was my character. It's Death Wish. So, yeah. Not Rich Man. Does the bubble on Europa disappear when Dr. Manhattan dies? I don't think so. I was thinking that too, but I don't think so. I don't think it does. I don't think it does. But maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe you're right, but I don't think it does. Let me see. Any other questions before we move on to Harleen? Could Scott Summers hang with that? Scott Summers might be able to hang with that for sure. Yeah, he's got experience. He could hang with a Mrs. Dr. Manhattan. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Death Wish is kind of like Sebastian Shaw. A little bit, yeah. Kind of like Sebastian Shaw where people like shoot stuff at him and he absorbs the kinetic energy and then he puts it back out. Totally. It's very similar to that. It's very similar to that. But you could do a lot of really fun gags where like she has to hurt herself before an engagement. You know, like say like she knows she's going up against somebody really crazy and tough, you know, so she has to like throw herself off a building and like do these like fucked up things to get herself like tough enough. Like you could do all this like really funny slapstick comedy shit where it's just like she's like has to go ape shit and like beat herself up to get ready for something. That would be really funny. Kappa 13, what's in your necklace? Sacred herbs to the star Regulus in the constellation of Leo. I think it's mastic leaves and mugwort is what's in my, this is a talisman. TV tropes mentioned Angela being Sister Night dressing as a nun, married to a god, even though nuns really aren't married to God. I know because I almost became one. It's still cool since that's what people think. No, that's what bride of God. That's what nuns are. They're bride of God. Like, that's what I think of them as, is like, yeah. And that, I didn't even think of that. You're so right, Ray of the Force. Like, that's so smart. Like, of course, like, the nun character would be dating the God character. Like, yeah, that's so good. I didn't even fucking put that together. That's so great. Do you think Angela could do better than John based on what she experienced with the nostalgia pills? That could be interesting. I don't know, man. I mean, John seemed pretty cool. Like, he had it kind of figured out when he started dating her. He didn't have it figured out with Lori. You know, he did not have it figured out with Lori, but he did have it figured out with Angela. You know, like he was like more at peace with himself and like at peace with everything. So like, I don't know, you know. Oh my God, bride of God. Yeah. Nuns literally get a ring. Do they? I didn't know they got a ring. Do nuns get a ring? I didn't know that. Mestachronos. Nuns are scary. I found that out on Halloween because I dressed as an old nun and I legitimately was scaring people. They were like, there was this one girl who was like legitimately like upset when I was around and like I was scaring her.
Because of that movie.
You know, because that nun movie. Yeah, like, I don't know. It was really bizarre. I was like, I didn't think anyone would, I was really like taken aback by all of the, different reactions I got when I was dressed as a nun. I didn't think it would be a big splash, but apparently it was like, I don't know. It was a thing. But all right, guys, let me take a quick break, take a little bathroom break. I'm going to be right back pretty soon. And then we will talk about Harleen. So excited. So good. I cannot wait to tell you about this fucking comic. It's so fucking good. I can't wait to tell you about it. So I will be back in 5 minutes. I will see you soon.